Well, it is now my pleasure to introduce to you Sister Betty Stevenson, who is from the Oakland, San Francisco Bay Area, and she was recently featured on the PBS documentary entitled The Mormons. Sister Stevenson is the CEO and director of a nonprofit organization called HOPE, H-O-P-E, Help Open Possibilities, Encourage Positive Change, which was established in 1998. She is a real people person, a multifaceted professional, author, motivational speaker, and presenter with over 30 years experience in counseling, program development, and workshop facilitation in issues relating to conflict resolution, women and children in crises, domestic violence, and substance abuse. No matter what their position in life may be, Sister Stevenson treats all people with decency and respect. She has 2 children, a son named Rodney and a daughter named Shantae. And both of her children are engaged in various areas of community service, so I guess it's true, the acorn don't fall far from the tree. Tonight, she will share with us in a most honest and amusing way how 2 young men dared to knock on her door in the city of Oakland and got her to let them in to share the gospel of Jesus Christ. Sister Stevenson was baptized on July 5th, 1981. And as it turns out, 1981 was a very good year for baptism within the African American community. I was baptized in 1981, and there are several in this room that were also baptized in 1981, so the missionaries were doing their job in our community. During the past 28 years in the church, she has served in the following callings: Relief Society President in the Oakland 9th Branch for 6 years, Primary Teacher, Relief Society Teacher, Young Women's President, Public Affairs Council, International Relief Society President, and currently she is teaching Sunday school to the 14 and 15-year-old boys and girls. Oh yes, and one more thing, she is the aunt of our fearless leader, Lillian Glover. So, without further ado, I give you Sister Betty Stevenson.
I was so grateful to hear Talofa and then to hear Aloha. So when I got up in the 9th branch in 1981, I said, "What's up?" It didn't take but 15 minutes for about 4 sisters to run and go tell the bishop. Having been in prison, on parole, addicted to drugs, lived in the gay community. When the missionaries came into Oakland and knocked on my door, I didn't want to hear nothing they had to say. First of all, I thought they was from another church. I'm not going to say which one, because I was told that was nice. But I had just about all I could take from them. So I wouldn't let nobody in. My son Rodney was the one that invited the missionaries to come. And when they came and told me that my son had told them to come back because I wasn't there, I was out hooking up some deals. And had been on 7 years of parole. 7 years. 2 years of probation. And I had just gotten off parole 21 days when the missionaries came and knocked on my door. Talk about an awesome experience. To me, when I opened that door and saw them 2 white boys standing there, I thought for sure they was lost. They were riding bicycles back then. And they were going to leave their bikes outside. And I told them, y'all better bring them bikes in the house because I know people with Jack Jesus. I had all the missionaries from all the areas at one time in my house. They weren't supposed to be there, but I felt sorry for them. Out in Oakland, you didn't know who was who and what was what. And when they came, I gave them a run for their money. First of all, they tried to tell me this story about this white boy, a dead angel, and some gold plates. And it was like, well, what in the world have y'all been smoking? I think I went through 3 different sets of missionaries before I went up on the hill for the first time. And it's amazing. Sister Sui is here, who was there when I came. And I happened to show up on a fast Sunday. Now look, when I found out them boys would walk around with that microphone and anybody could get up and talk, I jumped straight up. That's how I started. And every first Sunday, I would be there. I would run over old people, children, handicapped, to get to the microphone. And I would stand up and I would bear my testimony, just like I'm doing now. I had a problem with Joseph Smith. It was like when I heard the story, the first thing I did when I went home, I went in my room and I prayed, me and the Lord. Lord, why you give that book to a white boy? I said, white people got enough already. You could have gave that book to anybody else. And the Spirit bore witness to my spirit. Is that all you can think of? Does it really matter what color he was? And that started me to the point where I picked up that Book of Mormon. And as I started to read, I, Nephi, having been born of goodly parents, I started to cry. I didn't feel like I had had goodly parents. I knew I hadn't been a goodly parent. And so, like a lot of people, I said, this ain't nothing but the devil. And I went right on back out there on my merry way. But the minute I got my hands on that book, I didn't read it, but I used to carry it around, feeling the spirit and the power of it. And I said, Lord, if this is true, I want to know it. I want to know it just like Joseph Smith knew it. And then I got to thinking, man, he went to bed and his room lit up, and before he knew anything, it was an angel standing up off the floor. And I thought about that, and I got back out the bed, got back down on my knees. I said, Lord, you ain't got to send nobody. I just want to know it in my heart. That was the beginning. I would go to church, and people would literally get up and leave. I said, wow, this is pretty good. I'm up here, I'm finna clean the church out. I wasn't going nowhere. My bishop, I would be in the bishop's office so much, y'all, I felt like I was going to the principal. I remember one time he called me and he said, Sister Stevenson, I've had some sisters come and they tell me they're not coming anymore if you don't stop bearing your testimony the way that you do. I looked at him, I said, well, Bishop, you better tell him goodbye then. I ain't going nowhere. I said, I came here to change, to learn, and to grow. At that time, I was a heroin addict, 7 years on parole, 2 years on probation. I had fresh needle marks on my arm. Before I went to church, I had to get fixed to even be able to sit amongst the saints. It took me my first 10 years to get used to being called a Mormon. Now, when I started reading that Book of Mormon, and I can't tell y'all where these scriptures are, but if you got any sense, you'll go look them up. Find them and read them for yourself. See what you come up with. I read where it said anyone that comes into the church and on Fast Sunday, they could get up and bear their testimony. So I would make a running start every first Sunday. I'd be there early so that I could get up and say to people, I want what you have. I believe that this is the Word of God. I don't know personally what I had to do, but I knew that a light had come on. I went out and I saw things that I had seen before, but they took on a different meaning. Still addicted to heroin. Still smoking. Still drinking. And the missionaries, them young boys, I'm telling you the truth, I feel for them now. They were going to help me stop smoking. So they made what was called a second thought box. And they had all kind of beautiful sayings and scriptures. And inside the box there was fruit and candy. Somebody's grandmother made it. And all these different little things, lifesavers. And then there was another box inside of the box with a picture of the Savior and the scripture that says there is opposition in all things. And they said, Betty, don't say, put your cigarettes in that inside box. And when you feel like you want to smoke, they didn't tell me don't smoke. That would have been dangerous. So when you feel like you want a cigarette, so you read all of this, open up the box, take something else out, and don't take out the cigarettes. You leave the cigarettes in there. So I did that. But I was going all over the neighborhood bumming cigarettes. I wouldn't smoke the ones that was in the box. But I had me a cigarette. And then I learned how to just hold them in my fingers. I realized that if I had faith of a mustard seed, that there was a chance for me. Now, you have to understand that no one in my family was a member of the church. My daughter, Shantae, was 11. And she's the one that let the missionaries in my house. And I know that it was God's will. It was a way to get that book to me. I went to church every Sunday, and every Sunday for the first year, I felt closer to God after I stopped at the liquor store and got me a half a pint of double old granddad and went home. I felt more welcome than I did in the Relief Society. The women was outrageous. The brothers was kind of nice. they would give me a hug, and our Tongan brother, he's dead now, he would come up to me and he would give me the biggest hug and he would kiss me on my lips. And his wife was standing right there. That's what convinced me this had to be God. She wasn't even mad. So it was making a believer out of me all these times. And I would go home, cry, plead with the Lord. Help me. Please help me. And as I was doing this, brothers and sisters, light started to shine. I would read that book until 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning. And the words would just dance on the paper like flames. I throw that book back down. I said, this ain't nothing but the devil. I told the missionaries, y'all don't come back no more. Ever since y'all came, my whole life has been messed up. I gave up my man, my money, and my dope. Not necessarily in that order. I went back amongst old friends, and I was frightened by them. Their eyes was flaming red. And I could see the possession in their eyes. And I had decided that I was going to go back up there. Now my rent ain't paid. I can't make money like I used to do before. So I got to do something. And you mean to tell me I got to be honest too? That was a big shock. I prayed, Lord, what am I going to do? So the first thing you're going to do, you're going to go and you're going to straighten this out. And you're going to straighten that out. But wasn't no money coming. I gave up a lucrative career to collect aluminum cans to be able to buy bread. I would go to church and make sure I was there for Fast Sunday. And I would get up and tell people, I didn't come here to win no popularity contest. I don't care what y'all think about me. I'm here because something in that book, there's something about that book. I wasn't real sure what it was, but I knew it was something. And then, after about a month in the church, y'all excuse me, I'm having a power surge here. I would go and I would intimidate my little Sunday school teachers. Them sweet little sisters were so innocent. And I would go in there and ask questions I knew they couldn't answer. Interrupt the class. Somebody went and told the bishop again. I go on back to the bishop's office. What? I kept it up long enough until they gave me a calling. Now, I really thought God was punishing me. When I got called to the Relief Society, I thought I was the only sinner in the whole congregation. And then once I got called to the Relief Society and got off in some of them homes, I realized I wasn't as bad as I thought I was. I went looking for the black people. I want to know, where is black people? Why are there no black people in the pageant? And the little sweet lady came up to me and she said, what you want me to do, paint somebody's face black? And I thought about that. And then I realized how much time it takes to participate in the pageant. And I didn't know nobody, black, white, or indifferent, who would be that dedicated. I decided then that I was going to just kind of hush because I didn't want no more call-ins. I served 6 years. They released one branch president. I didn't get released. They called another one. They released him after a year or two. They kept me. I went through 4 different branch presidents, and I was still relief society president. I said, I'm gonna have to get sick, I guess. I'm gonna have to get out of this some kind of way. After 6 years of being in the branch where all the renegades came, and everyone, the worst of them, they would give them to me to either visit, teach, or go see. And I wound up in some places in Oakland I wouldn't have went when I was on drugs. At night, by myself. And I knew the bishop wasn't going to send his wife out there. I got to a point where I was beginning to feel like I was a stepchild. It's like these folks is telling on me, and these folks is running me crazy, and I got to go pick up the food, and you know what I'm talking about, don't you? If don't nobody else show up, you got to be there. You got to be there till the last chair get put up, and the vacuuming get done, and then you might be able to go home. And I would go home and just be so glad to be home, and it was like, Lord, I can't stand now another request, and the telephone would ring. Somebody else wanting something else. Well, I came into church with my gangster. Y'all know I'm an OG. And for those of you who don't know what that is, it's an old girl. And for those of you who do know, it's an old gangster. Well, when I was assigned to get refreshments, and a sister would sign her name to bring cookies, I would be on the phone. You better be here with them cookies. If you don't bring them cookies. I got to call right back into the bishop's office. Sister Stevenson, you can't threaten the sister. I said, well, Bishop, where I come from, if you say you're going to do something and you don't do it, you might be dead. I have been a member of the church for 28 years now. Me and my daughter, my brother, and I never had a fight until I started taking lessons from the missionaries. He would come to my house, insult my church, and I would tell him, you can talk about my mama and you can talk about my daddy, but don't you talk about my church. And then I went in 3rd Nephi and read the correct name of the church. And I got to a point where I was on a mission. Don't call me no Mormon. You don't get a conversation if you do. If you go to 3rd Nephi and read, they had the same problem back then. And it tells me that if it's called by Moses' name, it would be Moses' church. And I started standing up again. Now, it's a lot of people who thrive on that word Mormon. And when I started to study and found out that this was a nickname that people outside of the church gave to the church. And they did what we did with the N-word. They just grabbed it and embraced it. And many people were upset with me because I took that stand. It was like, why? When I was running around for the first 10 years calling myself a Mormon, I felt like I was above everybody. Gave me a big head. You know? Oh, we not. And when my little nephew told me, Eric, as a matter of fact, he told me, we was talking one day, and my other little nephews are members of the Baptist church. And Aaron was saying, we ain't Christian, we Mormon. I bet he won't say that no more. The first 10 years in the church was the hardest. To come from dealing drugs and living that fast life to where I had to honestly stop. It was my pride that took a licking. The scriptures say, and I've been told, that if you liken yourself to people in the scriptures, and I started to read, I read about the prostitute that Jesus saved. I read about the 10 lepers and how only one came back and said thank you. Fighting my brother was unbelievable. I had to pull a knife on him, y'all, and put him out my house. I wasn't as nice as I am now. I wasn't above it. And it was like, Lord, if you come back again, I'm going to go to prison. Just make sure somebody send me a TV. I will teach the gospel in there. He told me one day, said, Betty, them white boys ain't done nothing but brainwashed you. Say, they running a game on you. I said, bruh, not only is my brain washed, but my whole body been washed. I done got baptized. And if that's what you call it, that's all right with me. About a year later, I was up at the temple and the missionaries was there, and I had a missionary come. Girl, that ain't gonna do no good. I brought paper towels. Anyway, the missionary came and said to me, said, do you have a brother named Sterling in Pittsburgh? I said, yes. He said, well, we teaching him the gospel. I said, you kid. You see, I knew my family wasn't going to listen to me. I had been too wrong for too long. My mother, though, was very happy. She said, baby, all I want to know is do they believe in Jesus Christ? I said, Mother, the name of the church is the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. That was all she was concerned about, was that they believed in Jesus Christ. But the rest of them called me crazy. They called me, told me that I was deranged. And I said, okay, that's cool. I take medicine for being crazy, but I ain't stupid. I believe that that book is the Word of God. I believed that Joseph Smith, who I had a hard time coming to grips with the brother, until I recognized the fact that you got to give credit where credit is due. And he was a human being, he was a man, and God used him to bring about something that blesses my life today. Me, my daughter, and my brother were baptized in the church. And I sent, y'all call her Lillian, but that's Michelle. Sent Michelle them a Book of Mormon. And they joined the church as a family. She the only one that stuck. I have gone through some rough times. The misery that I felt, the pain that I felt, it was so delicious to me. I said, man, you know, what do you call them people that like to be beat in pain? What they call them? Yes, yes, that's what I said. They don't know what pain is. They need to come join this church. As much as I had to give up, the Lord came and blessed me so many more times. I was like most people when they heard about the gold plates. I wanted to know where they was at. So I went looking for the gold plates. I had a teacher, Sherm Thompson. Sherm is dead now. But Sherm told me he had the gold plates. And I went to his house, and he went into his little closet there, and he came out with some gold plates. They weren't real. But I walked around for almost a year thinking Sherm had them gold plates. Once I got myself together and was ready to go through the temple, now that was another amazing thing. I just knew, see, people in the church talk too much. They want to tell me about baptizing for the dead. Now look, I said, Lord, I ain't going in there and do nothing with no dead people. They just leave me out of that. Until I understood. You know what I'm saying? It's like, y'all ain't gonna put no black folks up in here. Y'all ain't gonna baptize dead people. And at that time, there was maybe 3 or 4 blacks in the church up on that temple, and I used to go home and say, Lord, half of them done turned white. You know, it was like, we don't want no sin. The sin, and I said, well, I'm a sinner. He looked at me in the mirror, I said, well, Lord, if there's anybody in here prejudiced, they ain't gonna be able to stay, because I'm going. I went in, sat down, didn't know nothing. I didn't realize that I wasn't supposed to jump up when they did the prayer circle. That people went with their husband and their wives. I grabbed the first brother that stood up. His little wife had to go sit back there. And I stood there and I looked everybody in their eyes. And if you don't like it, you better get out of here now. I would go back just to antagonize folks. I wasn't as nice as I am now. I remember one sister who was very prejudiced, and she was sitting in the hallway as you come out, and I went and kissed her on the side of her face. Ooh, Lord, she was rubbed and kissed. I turned around and kissed her on the other side. Even the ugliest Latter-day Saints was better than any of the people I had come in contact with. And I'm telling you, brothers and sisters, from that point, that was in 1981, I went back and I organized a gospel choir. Okay? I wanted to hear some gospel music. Them hymns like to drove me crazy. I couldn't stand it. It was like, oh no. I love them now. I can sing with the best of them. But at that point in time, girl, I wanted to hear me some Rough Side of the Mountain. And this is what we sung. My choir was made up of Tongan, Samoan, Asian, black, white, and Mexican. Young people. And we only knew one song, and that was Rough Side of the Mountain. But we sung that song all over the Bay Area. And the young man, Samoan young man, who is a grown up now. He is at every Black History program that we put on, Map to Montevideo. And Map came with his guitar. He was just a kid. And he played his guitar for us, and we sung that song. And it was a young missionary named Elder White. He was at my house one day when we were practicing. And Elder White had been taught that guitars and things was instruments of the devil, I guess. Because we started playing and singing, he jumped up and went to run. I was like, no, Elder, come on back here. Say, after a couple of weeks, we couldn't shut him up. He was up there singing louder than anybody. The missionaries would come to my house and I would teach them that black handshake. I was so serious. I had them from all over the area at my house, and somebody went and told on me. We would be there, I would order pizza and teach them that handshake. And of course, the sisters was, and it was like, okay, that's all right. One of the missionaries, when they got ready to go home, came by my house. He said, Sister Stevenson, he said, I want to tell you something. And he had a Japanese elder with him. He was on his way home. He said, I want you to know that I went around in the neighborhood, knocked on doors, said we couldn't get in nowhere. He said, in the last door we knocked on, said the man just came and he didn't want to talk to us. He said, I was impressed to hold my hand out to him. He said, when he grabbed my hand and I did that, he said, he threw that door. Where did you learn that? And the Japanese elder practiced with me for I don't know how long, trying to get that handshake together. He didn't even know how to do it. Brothers and sisters, I've been on this road 28 years. 28 years. My son just joined the church about 4 months ago. My granddaughter was killed in a car accident in 2007, 3 days before Christmas. She left 3 little babies, 3, 5, and 7. I have them. I am raising them. I love them with all my heart. Just last year, the love of my life died. Never been married. I ain't never been married. That was another thing, sisters, y'all need to quit. I heard, where's your husband? Where's your husband? I said, I ain't got none. I'm just blessed, I guess. I still feel the same way. There's something to being single and serving the Lord anyway. I gave up my all. But I got something back in return. I am so thankful to God for those missionaries who came that day. I'm so grateful that they didn't leave me alone. And I'm thankful. My brother is the president of the Genesis group up in Oakland now. Married his wife in the temple. And so we making headway. The Lord blessed me to be able to bear my testimony in places I would have never dreamed. And I'm so thankful. I ain't going nowhere. I came to learn, to change, and to grow. And I'm still doing it. I thank God. I want to, before I close, I said I was going to make this quick because on Sunday, everybody got to go to work or school or somewhere. And after a while, it get to be boring. I just want y'all to know the joy that I feel, how grateful I am And the nonprofit that the Lord blessed me to be able to put together, I still don't know how I done it. When I tell people a fat white lady and a fat black lady and a blind man sit in my living room in Oakland and put this together. And my goal is to have a place where those in my family who are out there, prodigal sons and daughters, will have somewhere to come when they get ready. I want so desperately for that to happen and to be able to teach other families how to do that. So the Lord gave me the courage to get those in my family who lost, and they know that this is where you can come and get a start. But I ain't taking no mess. Okay, if you ain't ready, you ain't right, don't even stop by. That's not the place for you to be. You wouldn't be happy. And to let those of you know who are seeking God, that you can't come with preconceived notions. You got to clear your heart and your mind, and then read that book with a sincere desire. I realized, I believe it's in Alma, where it talks about the mustard seed. And it talks about the faith that you have to be able to even, if you don't have it, you can't even see what the saints is talking about. Can't nobody show you this. God have to be the one. Change your heart. Change your ideas. And let us know and let me know that I got brothers and sisters of every persuasion. All I want to do is open up them doors for those like me who are coming from the rough side of the mountain. I love you. I love the Lord. He heard my cry. Pick me up. Turn me around. Planted my feet on higher ground. And I'm thankful to him. He forgave me much. And those that he forgive much, they love him much. I'm still here. And when I leave and go home tomorrow, I talked to my bishop today. I told him I love him. He worries about me because he knows my mouth. You know, I'm always saying something. But if it wasn't for the ugly people who was telling on me all the time, I'd still be an ugly person. So I thank them, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I'm grateful for every bit because it helped me to become that person. And I am going to make heaven my home. That is my dedication. And I say it all in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Amen.